Hey, how y'all doing? I am back for another review of How to Get Away with Murder. This is the final season, which is season six, I think. I don't know. Season six, final season, episode 3. So, I missed last week's episode, so we're gonna get a twofer. I'm gonna do episodes 3 and 4. Just got back from the gym, so do not mind my broad shoulders and my hair that's doing its own thing. Um, Also, I got my nose pierced. Just FYI, I think it's really cute. And now that I'm retired, I'm just doing all types of shenanigans. So, yeah. All right. So, episode 3, final season, episode 3. Again, you'll see me looking back for because I'm typed out my notes because I can't remember shit. Okay. So, we see Michaela and she's in front of the class. She's standing in as Annalise. She is I guess first chair would be the correct term for a case for a lady that they need to get off. The lady and her husband decided to rob a bank in order to start a food truck. We don't know why that was the method of funding said business opportunity. I think because her husband was an ex-con, something along those lines. But they robbed a bank, and in the process, I guess after they had already given themselves up, the cops decided to shoot and kill her husband, and he died in her arms. So that's the premise. That's going to be the case for this particular episode. Okay, so everyone kind of everybody's wondering, all the other citizens guys are wondering, like, how did Michaela get to be the lawyer for this particular case? And we all kind of think it's consolation because Annalise never told her about who her dad was. So, she just kind of got it as a sympathy card, is what everybody's thinking at this point. All right, so she's looking for a second co-chair because there is 5011, yes, 5011, trumped up charges that they want to charge this lady with as well. One of them being murder for the death of her husband, burglary, kidnapping, just a myriad of charges. So, in order for somebody to earn the second chair next to Michaela on this case, as she's acting lawyer, they have to give her good reasons. Each person in the class has to give her a good reason to eliminate one of the charges. So everybody gives good reasons, except nobody decides that they want to drop the restitution as an option. So nobody won the second chair option at this point. All right, cool. So, let's see. We move on, and Gabriel shows up and claims he shows up to class all late, and he tells Michaela he didn't kill anybody. Blah, 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 boop, de boop. We also move on, and Bonnie is over at Tegan's place, Tegan's office, and she's begging for a job because she got fired from the DA for okay. So last episode, I was under the impression that Vivian had this extensive record, and it turns out that Bonnie created a fake record, and the FBI found the fake record, and Bonnie got fired from the DA's office. Now that that's cleared up. So, and when we found out that Tegan did not hire, what's her name? Tegan decided not to hire Bonnie because she feels like Nate or Annalise is putting her up to it in order to spy on Tegan. And we turned out that it was Nate who actually sent Bonnie over there to spy on her. Okay, so we move on, and we see that Frank told Oliver, for whatever random reason, out of all the people he decided to tell, he told Oliver about the safe deposit box, and he also let him know that there's camera footage of Laura leaving the bank. So Laura isn't dead. Christopher is somewhere. I'm starting to think that Wes isn't really dead, because all of this is really weird. How Laura just kind of disappeared in the middle of the night, her and the baby. And that we later found in the episode that she's an owner of a very large investment company. So we'll see what happens with that. We move on, and we see that Michaela was able to talk the restitution down to 50K. The restitution was initially 170K. I think that was the restitution that they were going to try to get the lady to pay. And Michaela was able to negotiate them down to 50K, and she told her client, like, hey, I think I can get this down to 0. Do you want me to keep pressing? And everybody's like, no, just at 50K, that's much better. That's more doable than 150K. So just leave it alone. Michaela's like, no, I can get it. So she goes back, and they were like, no, you know what? All the charges we have, let's just withdraw our original set of charges, and let's just add murder in there. Let's throw murder in there because it's your fault that your husband was there, and Thus, his murder by the cop is on your hands. His blood is on your hands, basically. And so instead of getting the restitution talked down to nothing, she now has a new charge added. So shit has gone from bad to worse for this lady, and she is not happy about it. Okay, so we move on, and Annalise kind of left Michaela on her own to fix the issue because everybody, including Annalise, so leave it alone. The 50K or 70K, whatever the amount was much better, and it was much doable for the lady to pay back. And she just wanted to be a bulldog about it and keep pressing. So fix it on your own. Since you know everything, you fix it. Basically, what Annalise is telling her. So we get back from the commercial break, and Connor reunites the 8-year-old with his mom because his mom needed to sign some paperwork, and his mom couldn't get to him because if she comes down to the courthouse, they're going to deport her as well. So we move on to another scene. We see that Frank has bribed a taxi driver, was attempting to bribe a taxi driver that he saw pick Laurel up from the safe deposit box location. And it looks like the Castillos has gotten to him, and he's afraid of Frank, and he doesn't want to say anything, so he kind of walks away from the large sum of money that Frank was offering him. So Frank asks for his information. Not Frank. Okay, so moving on. We'll come back. I do my reviews as the show happens, so it's a little bit all over the place. Stick with me. All right, so Nate asked the investigators, did y'all find anything else on my dad's case? Because at this point, Nate still doesn't know that Miller had nothing to do with Miller died for nothing because Miller actually had nothing to do with his dad's case. So he's reaching out to the investigators, letting them know, hey, y'all not forgetting about my dad. Like, do we have any new information? Like, what's going on? And they're telling him, hey, we know exactly what happened. Miller had nothing to do with your dad's case, but we're not going to give you the details until you help us take Annalise down. Basically, was their statement to him. And they also said, hey, just kind of putting it back into his mind. You remember, Annalise set you up for Sam's death, and you were a very decorated cop, and you were about to be, very high ranking in the police department, and you lost all of that on the account of Annalise accusing you of killing her husband. So you have every reason, basically, to help us take her down. So he's kind of thinking about it. He somehow or another came into some files on every single one of the kids, students, and Annalise. So I guess he's trying to decide, should he use the information in the files or just let it be? So he's at a crossroads in that aspect. All right. So, but he also lets her know, hey, while y'all working on that, I just want you to. He basically wanted them to look at Tegan as a person of interest, but they just kind of let him know, like, hey, Tegan's not involved. I know who he is. Miller wasn't involved, but we're not going to tell you until he's helped us take Annalise down. Basically, was their statement. So we'll see what happens with that. Connor is talking to the mom and the son, and some detectives show up. And it looks like they've been able to catch up with him, and now the son and the 8-year-old and the mom are going to potentially be detained, which we've been trying to avoid all of this time. And this is because Connor took him to a few states over in order to meet his mom to get the paperwork. So it's, I guess trafficking. He left the state, and there's a whole bunch of charges that he could be facing. So that won't be fun. All right. So, and now both of them are in the detention center. So instead of calling Tegan, because Tegan is the kid's lawyer. So Connor and Tegan are both lawyers for the 8-year-old and his mom. So instead of calling Tegan, he called Bonnie to help Bonnie kind of figure out, because Bonnie, she's a little bit kind of good at talking her way out of things. So, he called her instead of Tegan. So she's going to help them out with that. All right. So, we go back to the lady that's in trouble for robbing the bank, and subsequently her husband getting killed by the cops. And she's on the stand. She takes her own defense in order to kind of gain some sort of sympathy, I guess is the last card they want to play in order to get her off. And the lady, the prosecution is badgering her and still saying it's her fault. And she just flies off the handle. She was like, you know what? Bitch, you better get my face before I chop your head off. I was like, bruh, come on, you fucking up your own case. Like, the lady, she flew off the handle. I guess, that is a tactic that lawyers use. Like, I'm going to bombard you with questions and statements and accusations, and you're eventually going to fly off the handle. And that's exactly what happened. So, they're kind of in a tough space because that's kind of set them back as far as trying to get her off. So we'll see what happens with that. Vivian is still trying to convince Gabriel to go home. She's also kind of blackmailing him, like, if you don't come home with me, I don't want you near Annalise. If you don't come home, I'm going to tell that you killed my boyfriend years ago and blah, blah, blah. And so, no. She didn't know. She wasn't able to confirm that. So she's just badgering him, let's go home, let's go home. Still trying to take Annalise down, and he just lets her know, like, Mom, come with me. Just let me tell you something. I really did kill your boyfriend. Didn't mean to kill your boyfriend, but I just wanted you to realize that he was no good for you and that I could be the man of the house that you needed. So, all of that kind of weighed on him, and I guess he was trying to maybe drug or poison the boyfriend and accidentally killed him, basically. So he did kill. So I guess you're kind of like Sam. Because if I'm not mistaken, get on track here, didn't Sam kill the girl with the black hair from season 1? The girl that Wes liked, maybe, I don't know her ethnicity, but because this is the first name that came to my mind. The Asian girl that was in season 1, the runaway that Wes kind of befriended and got in a relationship with, that ended up dead in Annalise's basement in season 1. Was she dead because Sam did something to her? I could be wrong. I probably should have looked it up, but I didn't. So if that's the case, I'm like, father, like, son, y'all both a bunch of killers, and everybody kills everybody on this show. So whatever. All right. So moving on. Let's see. So Bonnie has been able to kind of talk the whoever the judge is that's over the detention camp to, let the son and the mom go. But he said, hey, I'll let them go. I won't hold any grudges, but only if you show me your DA badge so we can get out of here. We need some identification. Well, earlier that day, Bonnie's already been fired from the DA's office, so she doesn't have the paperwork that she needs. So she's kind of looking around, and then Tegan just makes a phone call. While everybody's talking, she's just mid the conversation, she stops and she makes a phone call. Hey, can you tell so-and-so to let them go? These are my clients. He has no grounds, blah, blah, blah. And she gives the phone to the guy. And he's shook. He is shook. And so Connor and Bonnie's like, well, who did you call? And how did you, what's all that power? And the person that was on the phone was the Undersecretary of Homeland Security. Very high, very important. And everybody's wondering, like, how does this low-level lawyer have the authority to call the Undersecretary of Homeland Security over an entire an entire government branch? And she tells us, like, hey, I can call her directly because that's my wife. Boom. Drops mic. All right, so we come back from the next break and we learn that Tegan decides to go ahead and hire Bonnie because if it wasn't for her, her sneaky ways and her being able to talk her way, we would have never gotten into that room. We would have never gotten the 8-year-old and his mom out of that detention center. So, you've proved yourself, but you screw me over at least one time and you're fired. Okay, fair enough. All right, so Annalise decides, okay, Michaela's begging, she don't know what to do to fix this. Let me help her. So she lets her know that she needs to play up the fear of the wrongful death suit, because what the wife has at her discretion is she can file a wrongful death lawsuit against the police department for killing her husband, even though it was during the commission of a crime. He wasn't a threat, so it would have been a wrongful death lawsuit. Well, they don't want to pay out millions to this lady because, she's going to go to jail for the robbery anyway. So, they don't want to pay her. So they need to play up the wrongful death suit to kind of shake the prosecution a little bit, or defense, whatever they are. The people who are trying to send her to jail. All right, so Michaela talks to them, and she was able to get the murder charges dropped, which I guess maybe the robbery charge is still stuck, but they're not going to add murder. All right, cool. So they offer her 2 years probation. They offer her 2 years and probation with the possibility of still being able to go back and file the unlawful death lawsuit, the wrongful death lawsuit. And she has two options. So she has 2 years in probation and she can still sue them, or she can get no jail time, minor probation, but she still can't sue them for wrongful death. She decides, you know what? The way things work out for me, I'm a Black woman. I'm just going to take the clean rap sheet. I don't want to sue them. Just let me go. And Michaela's still pressuring her, like, you know what? You can get the money. I promise you I can help you. And she was like, you know what? I'm taking my wins. I normally don't get one win, much less two. So let's just leave it at that. So that, she's off. We're good to go. She get to go home. I guess her husband robbed the bank. She didn't know he was going to rob the bank. So we're good. We're scot-free. We're settled. All right. So, so the lady decides to take probation. But during Michaela's final arguments, Vivian is kind of stricken because Annalise gave Michaela a talk and kind of lets him know, like, hey, use Sam's death and the circumstances around that to kind of fuel you to passionately deliver your final speech. And Vivian kind of felt something from whatever it was. She felt something from Michaela's final testimony, and now she thinks that Michaela also played a part in Sam's murder. She's correct, but I'm not quite sure how she got to that assumption. It was kind of weird how she put that together, but she was right. But of course, Annalise is still protecting the students, and she did not admit anything of the sort. All right, so Vivian is threatening Annalise. Well, she's threatening Gabe to go to the FBI on Gabe if he doesn't go with her, and he's still not going to go. Yeah. Moving on. Frank finds out that they took Laura to a safe house because he spoke with the taxi driver, and the first taxi driver was like, the Castillos told me don't say nothing, but I will tell you, just keep my name out of it. And yeah, so Frank finds out where she is, so he's gonna go over there and kind of see what's happening at the safe house. We move on, and Vivian is at the investigators with some new information on Gabriel. She claims she has information on Gabriel, and Gabriel's getting home and realizes there's a note on his door from his mom that says, hey, you're a great person, Annalise is not. And there's also a bag of tapes where Sam was Annalise's therapist prior to becoming her husband. So there were tape after tape after tape of their conversation. So Gabriel is listening to these tapes throughout this episode and the next episode, just getting information about who Sam was and just kind of learning more about Annalise. Don't really know what his mom is doing with the FBI saying that she has information on Gabriel, but I guess she may be able to spin it in order to kind of lead them in a different direction. Don't know. We'll see how that goes. All right. So, and the FBI does want to cut a deal in exchange for information, but something goes wrong in the conversation, and Vivian is like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm about to go. And it was like, you know what, well, your charges are still on the table, so we're going to come after you if you don't give us information on Gabriel and or Annalise. And she was like, let's do it. I'll fight with you. Catch me if you can, basically, and walks out. Frank goes to the safe house and he finds baby stuff in a crib, which we're to assume is Christopher's stuff. And then some men walk in. So maybe the taxi driver gave him the information and then told the Castillos he was on the way to cover his ass, or they knew Frank was coming somehow or another, and they about to kill his ass. Interesting. I don't know what's going on here, but Laura has always been a problem child, so can she just be dead already? All right. Okay. So Gabriel's listening to the tapes and he realizes that, hey, Michaela, that actually wasn't a client of Annalise's. He's not dead. He is a different man than who everyone thought he was. He is a lawyer, a big time lawyer, millionaire status, just out here living his best life. And he's giving that information to Michaela. So now they're going to go to whatever city he's in, doing some kind of conference, of sorts, and figure out what's going on. And Michaela is going to confront him. Now that she realizes the guy who she thought was her father, that she never knew, that she found out was dead, isn't really her father. So yeah. And of course, Annalise is involved yet again. All right, so Nate is with the FBI investigators as well, and they tell him that, well, I had already said that part. Sorry, I just said that. So Connor, we kind of, at the beginning of the scene, we saw that Michaela was in the interrogation room. Now we at the end of the episode, we realize that Connor and Michaela are in two separate interrogation rooms, and they're both being offered deals on whoever the dead informant is. Who we're assuming is Annalise at this point. And, they're basically telling both of them, you're responsible. What did you do? Why did you do it? We're going to offer you such and such and such and such. And they also claim that Connor did. They're telling Michaela she did it, and they're telling Connor he did it, I guess, to see who cracks first. And Connor just starts laughing hysterically, like, kind of like he had lost it at some point. And then he breaks down. He breaks down, falls on the floor, clutches his chest. In what we assume is a heart attack, and that's how we end the episode. That's how episode 3 ends. So hopefully Connor doesn't die, because he's having a hard time in this interrogation room, and shit's starting to fall apart. So we will see what happens in episode 4.